Welcome back to part 2 of the Lazarus and Dangerfield show. We have a special week this week. It is Shark Week.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's shark. Do it again.
Well, I don't want to be chum, that's for sure.
You're just coming out with all the puns today.
Thick and fast.
So once again, this week we watched The Meg with Jason Statham. We watched Deep Blue Sea with Saffron Burrows, and we watched Jaws with Roy Scheider. So what shall we begin with, Mr. Lazarus?
I think we've got to start with Mr. Spielberg. It is the originator. It is the original. And as sharks go, they live a long time. And this one has definitely been swimming around for a very, very long time.
It is. And like I said before, it's the granddaddy of them all.
It is. It is.
Can I just say, I've not watched this for at least 20 years, I want to say. And I went in with a bit of trepidation. I was like, Jaws is obviously a classic. It's referenced in so many things. I was like, it's 1975. You know, I'm not expecting it to be great. Oh my God. This was a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece of movie making.
I've never seen this film.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen Jaws in my life. So it's been on TV, obviously growing up, and it's one of those ones I've sort of meant to get around to. So it was great. We should say about sharks, the reason why we've chosen these three as well. Shark as a genre is a very, very played out genre. There's a lot of, we had Sharknado, we had The Shallows, we had 47 Meters Down. There's literally
Sky Sharks.
There's a school of movies related to sharks.
Nice.
Quite literally. Yeah. So we decided, Jaws being the fact that it's a humongous shark, that let's relate films to that, hence The Meg and Deep Blue Sea. And also the great thing about these films is there's sort of an accurate timeline between all three of them. So Meg being the most current, only 3 years old, Deep Blue Sea now 21 years old, which is great.
We saw that as well.
22 years old, should I say.
Didn't we see that?
And then obviously we did, and then obviously Jaws being 1975.
Yeah.
So there's a good breakup between them, but it's they were all big blockbusters as well. It wasn't a lot of shark movies can be straight to DVD. These are things that did make significant waves.
Yeah.
So can't help it.
You were just on fire. I love it.
So Jaws.
So what did you? Okay, so you've never seen it before. This is your first time watching it. I've already said that I think it's an absolute masterpiece. It really surprised me. What did you think?
Yeah. Well, it's Spielberg. This guy doesn't really do much wrong. Even you look at the films.
And John Williams.
He does. Yeah, exactly. Well, John Williams score. Do you know what I mean? The score. To be honest, the score at times reminded me of Star Wars. I can help it. There is that. It's his signature. What I liked about this film is the simplicity of it. There are times where it's drawn out, and it's a very different way of doing cinema. One thing I found about this, and I did think about this a lot, was nowadays cinema is sort of, and I might be exaggerating here, but everything's young faces. It's full of young faces. And even though a lot of these people aren't young, you look at the Fast franchise, for example, they're portrayed to be young, referenceable people, although they're not. Vin Diesel is the same age as Roy Schneider, but Roy Schneider looks like he could be my dad. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe not now, but definitely as a kid, where Vin Diesel very much doesn't. And it's something that was, I guess, was the norm back then. You had older characters.
Definitely.
And you've got some tried and we've got a youngish, as I say, Richard Dreyfuss in this film. And
Amazing.
but one thing I found about this film is it made the cinematography and the way it was shot made it feel real. It was,
Yeah.
in some ways, it felt at times more like a documentary than it did a film. The thing I loved about this film was it made me jump.
Oh god, yeah.
There were parts in it that made me jump, and you
That-
don't expect it.
The first 5 minutes are terrifying.
Yeah.
Like literally terrifying. The score works perfectly, just 2 notes.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
genius. But every time someone was in the water, I was immediately kind of scared. I did not like it.
You think
You know something's gonna happen, but it doesn't always. But it makes you so uncomfortable.
Sure.
And then you've also got the very famous depth of field shot.
Yeah.
Like the first time at the beach, and you've got Roy Scheider sat on the chair, and they see a shark out in the water, and and like behind him just kind of zooms out, but he kind of zooms in. Really kind of famous. It's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. Incredible depth of field shot, which just kind of shows the terror that he is feeling.
And it was, and like I said, it's a believable story. Yeah. It's there, we're talking like a 20-25.
That's what I find scary about it. That's what I didn't find scary about the other two films. They weren't believable, whereas this is just genuinely believable.
It was great. It was the ending is superb. Even the special effects, they weren't terrible.
Still brilliant.
They weren't.
I thought that would be the kind of clincher to let it down, because it takes a while before you really see the shark. And when you do, you know what? It still holds up. It's still
the thing about
impressive.
The thing about this film is, you're very much, the shark can attack at any time, but you're not going to expect it. Whereas the others, you're sort of waiting. It's in the water, you know it's coming, kind of thing. And they add these scary moments just for effect. Where with this, it's very much, it gets creepy, and you're just like, is it? Isn't it? Is it? Isn't it? So, and this is why it's the granddaddy of them all.
That's why it's a reference in so many things. It's brilliant. Absolutely love it.
We should say, what is the story?
Deep Blue Sea, in a nutshell, is they are trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's. A specific kind of liquid, like in a shark's brain, that can be produced to help cure Alzheimer's. So they genetically modify a shark's brain 5 times than what it normally is, in order to create more of this kind of shark brain juice.
With smart sharks, basically.
Yeah, with that, it makes them incredibly smart, and they start going after the stupid humans for genetically modifying sharks. Why you would ever do that is just ridiculous. And you can imagine what that kind of leads to. Death and destruction and all. Yeah.
So I remember watching this at the time, and again, so this has gone the other way. This hasn't aged well.
No. It has not.
Yeah. There were one thing I liked. I don't know if you picked up on this, and the Louisiana license plate. I did like that. The nod to Jaws. So in the original Jaws film, they find a Louisiana license plate and a shark, and again, there's a Louisiana license plate. I
think most shark films, or kind of serious shark films, will always, that aren't based on real life events, will always have some kind of nod to Jaws.
Yeah,
because I mean that is the granddaddy of them all.
I think fair play to them, but then but then you're putting a target on your back as well, because you're like, well, now we have to stand it. So it's got, the cast is, there's no real.
You got Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. He's
the big name in the movie.
Yeah, and Stellan
Skarsgård. Skarsgård, yeah. I completely forgot he was in this film.
Typecast much? Does this
What, the
guy ever play
scientist?
anything other than the scientist? I swear. So, and something always happens to him. So,
Yeah.
I think he likes that. Maybe it's in his contract.
Yeah. Again, I
No,
completely
he's
forgot
great.
what
He
happened
is a
to him.
sterling. He's a sterling actor. So, fair play to him. It's
And then you got
there was
Michael.
lots
What's
of
his name? Michael Rappaport, I think his name is. Yeah, Michael Rappaport. Who's been in a number of things.
sure. Oh yeah. He's a New Yorker, isn't
And
he?
of course, LL Cool J. Whatever.
Yeah, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J. He is a name of the time.
Ladies love Cool James, and he pens probably the worst rap song I've ever heard. The soundtrack. It's just to be honest, he samples "You're All I Need to Get By," which is a beautiful soul classic, and has the lyric, "My hat is like a shark fin." So,
Right.
to be honest, the rhymes aren't bad. I don't know if he was told to come up with, can you write a rap song about sharks? I can't imagine that's any easy feat. So fair play to him. Maybe he did the best with the material he had. But a song about sharks. There are some good lines in it, but the chorus is awful. But yeah, he wasn't bad. Do you know what? I don't think he was. He was definitely not the worst part about this film at all. It's not a terrible film. It's just, I didn't clock watch.
I did a couple of times.
There was some lovely things that reminded me of my youth. For one of them, when the scientists, the fake British Australian English woman.
Was it Saffron Burrows?
Yes,
she's the main one. Yeah.
She uses a SCSI drive. So SCSI was like literally just before CD-ROM, before came the norm. It was kind of an enlarged floppy disk, and I hadn't seen one of them since the 90s, so that was cool. But that's also what made it feel very old. And there was there's not really a lot to shout.
It's over the top.
The best thing about it is Samuel Jackson's rant, without a doubt. And I remember loving that back at the time. It's just when he gets going, he gets into his full rant, which you always love, and you're just waiting for him to drop mother.
So we're not going to fight anymore. We're going to pull together, and we're going to find a way to get out of here.
So
right.
Let's swiftly move on to The Meg, starring Jason Statham.
Yes. So this had quite a big cast again, the Meg. We have in The Meg, Rainn Wilson.
I had no idea who was in this.
Dwight Schrute is in this film, which is amazing. We have Cliff Curtis, if you've seen Fear the Walking Dead. He's been in a few things. I don't mind him. He was in Hobbs and Shaw with Jason Statham as well. He plays The Rock's brother. So he's married descent. So
also in, that's the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, he was also in Die Hard 4. Just throwing that out there.
Sure. And we've got Ruby Rose of Orange is the New Black.
And John Wick. She was in John Wick 2 as well, wasn't she?
Sure. Yeah, so there are a few people getting a nod in this film. It's one of those that's, it's one of those to bolster some people's profile, and for others, it's like Jason Statham, the kind of film that they will do. What did you think of this film first?
Okay, so, firstly, I'll briefly explain what The Meg is. Sure. So there is a research facility. The Mariana Trench is the deepest point in the oceans, and this research facility thinks that you can actually go below the Mariana Trench. So it isn't a seabed at all. It's like a layer of freezing cold methane, which they prove. They send a little sub thing down, and they go through, and they go essentially about 8 miles down in the ocean. And this is where they discover the prehistoric Megalodon shark, which is obviously humongous. It doesn't make any sense that this thing is living down there, like 8 miles below the Earth's surface. For one thing, this really confused me, but I looked it up later. For one thing, most sea life, like that far down, doesn't have any skin pigmentation for the most part, because there's no light and there's no need for them to have a skin pigmentation. So most sea life is generally kind of translucent because it's so dark. Whereas the Meg in this film looks like an actual shark, but just kind of giant. So I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But it turns out the reason for that was there is other sea life that far down that is just basically white, because again, they don't need any like color pigmentation. So they tried making an all white shark and the CG couldn't handle it. So they had no choice but to go with a standard looking shark, which, okay, fair enough. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so they go down and below the Mariana Trench, and they bring the sub back up, and that kind of draws this shark back up into the oceans, which again doesn't make any sense because it's developed over the years to live at the pressure of 8 miles down in the ocean, so it wouldn't be able to handle coming up to the surface where there is no kind of pressure. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I digress. It is what it is.
So I guess went in with this movie with a low bar, thinking, I've watched Jaws. Also, we talked about the kind of films that are in this Sharknado, etc., and they can be the sublime to the ridiculous, and thinking the Meg would be ridiculous. I'm thinking huge shark. So I didn't put two and two together with Meg and Megalodon. So when I did, I was actually pleasantly surprised, and I loved the idea that this dinosaur shark still exists. I think that's a brilliant idea. Sharks are, many people believe are the first of us, and they'll definitely be the last of us. They are the living dinosaur, much like birds. Well, there aren't many.
I mean, for all we know, they could. We don't know. We know more about. We've explored and know more about space than we do our own.
Yeah, oceans. Exactly, and and those were my thoughts entirely. So I loved the concept that there could be. I've seen Megalodon jaw. I don't believe it was a real one. It was a mock-up in an aquarium.
They're huge.
Yeah, they are. You get in the thing, and I saw it in Okinawa, and it's this humongous thing. And I love my favorite animal is the whale shark. So I was always petrified of sharks as a kid. I always had this reoccurring dream being a child of a shark biting me while I was in my bed. It's this
bedroom sharks. Yeah, they are the lesser known of the shark species.
Yeah, I don't know why. Some people dream of falling. I dreamt of sharks biting my legs off. So maybe that's why I never watched Jaws. But much like anyone, I find sharks fascinating but utterly terrifying at the same time. So seeing this humongous shark that is devastatingly huge, this is comparable to a blue whale, if not bigger, and I just loved this idea of it, and the fact that their approach to dealing with this was so different to a normal shark. There were elements of it, but this is it still likes chum. It's still got an amazing sense of smell, etc. But
there is actually a great twist in the movie. I kind of don't want to give it away. But there's actually no, yeah, think about it. There is a pretty good twist that got me, where they thought they had the shark.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. What I loved about this film was it was where Deep Blue Sea tried to be too clever. I don't think this did. It was just, it's a cliche story. It's a typical billionaire who they discover something great and then they want to exploit it. But at the same time, just like Jurassic Park or any of these things, they have to have damage control.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like Jurassic Park of the Sea in some sense. It's all the Lost World sort of thing, damage control. And I just I found it quite entertaining the whole way through. I didn't find it disappointing. I was definitely pleasantly surprised. It's not a big Hollywood blockbuster, but at the same time the cast all sort of played their role. There were certain characters that annoyed me, and there were certain things that were just implausible.
You know, when I think about it, yeah, you're right. It isn't actually that bad.
Yeah.
It is fun. It's got fun parts to it.
Sure. It just, compared to Deep Blue Sea, it was a very different film, of course, and compared to Jaws, it was a different film. But I loved, if anything, they put a spin on the shark genre just by, and it sounds silly, but just by involving it, essentially a dinosaur in this, you know, rather than intelligent sharks or just angry sharks or lots of sharks. You know, there's always something that someone's put something in to attract more sharks to the territory, or there's always something like that, or someone's over chumming. So just having this huge, humongous shark and getting them to deal with it. The only thing I just found with this is Jason Statham definitely loves to play the heroic, you know, over the top savior, doesn't he, in these films? Or he just has a death wish.
I thought he was pretty funny.
Yeah,
just his character.
He wasn't terrible. He wasn't.
There were a couple of nods to Jaws in this. There was a kind of PowerPoint that they were looking at about Megalodon sharks, and there was a little picture of a human for size comparison, and that little person was dressed the same way as Richard Dreyfuss's character in Jaws.
Really? Dressed. Wow! I did not pick up on that.
And then there's a beach scene where it's an absolutely packed beach with people in the sea, and there's that little boy that's badgering his mum to go in the sea. And she eventually gives in and goes, "Yeah, fine, okay, be safe." But apparently she's wearing the same, very nearly the same outfit as the mum of the little boy in Jaws.
There you go. Excellent.
Which I thought was quite cool. And also I was just quickly, I read just before we did this, that Disney bought the book rights to the Meg back in the 90s. But they didn't want to make it because of Deep Blue Sea. They didn't want to go up against Deep Blue Sea. And I can't remember quite what happened after that. Why it got delayed. But yeah, it was due to come out back in the late 90s at the same time.
Sure.
But there we go.
So it's time to see who literally is the Great White and who is...
I think number one's pretty kind of obvious.
Yeah. Who's the Great White? Who's the basking shark? I think we've already said that. And who's
the tiny little...
Who's the chum?
Who's the chum?
Who's the chum?
So my thoughts are obviously Jaws, number one, hands down.
Yeah.
Without doubt. Just watch it. What a great film. What a great film. I will actually go with The Meg as number two.
Yeah.
When I think back about it, and with us just talking about it, I do have gripes because it's... But then I have gripes from a non-realistic point of view. This film isn't trying to be realistic in any sense, so they're kind of pointless gripes. It's a lot more fun than Deep Blue Sea, and Deep Blue Sea just doesn't hold up to what it did, despite the fact it's got Samuel L. Jackson, and practically every movie with Samuel L. Jackson then should be a winner. Yeah.
No, I would definitely agree with you. Samuel L. Jackson, I think, lends credence to the role, but it's Samuel L. Jackson. You know, he's done, like anyone, he's done some stinkers, but, you know, he is...
Hasn't he done, like, the most movies of anyone now or something like that? I'm sure he holds some kind of record like that, but I can't remember.
Nick Cage. He's literally recording 6 of them at this moment simultaneously. I think he might be in the most... He could be in the most grossing films.
Probably that could be it. Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. You know, we're both huge Samuel Jackson fans, so we'll watch anything with him, literally. I would agree with you. The Meg, low bar, so loved it. Genuinely loved the film. Highly entertaining. Great. If I paid for it at the cinema, I'd probably come out and be like, Why did I pay? But at the same time, you know, it's a Saturday night film. You watch it on Netflix, and you know, you haven't lost anything. Deep Blue Sea is somewhere that is a film that literally has to go right to the bottom of the Deep Blue Sea and never show
below the
its ugly
Mariana
self
Trench
again. Yeah, definitely. It's not the worst film we've watched since doing this, but it's definitely top 3 probably.
Yeah, would I agree? Yeah, I probably would agree with that.
Yeah, so, but Jaws, for me, it's not a 5-star, but it's a 5-star in the fact that it holds its own, even when you're talking about, literally speaking about the
Jaws
fact that it's 46 years old,
Jesus, 46
which
years.
is amazing.
And I was gripped all the way through that film.
Yeah,
Utterly gripped through that film. So good, so good.
It's a film that's definitely not to be trifled with. And anyway,
I was going to say something about trifles, but I won't. So yeah,
I think I've run out of shark puns as well.
Well, you've been baiting us this entire time with all your puns.
Oh,
that's the best. That's the best pun I could come up with. I'm sorry.
All I can. Oh, that was a good pun. All I can say is Finn.
You beat me to it. I was literally just thinking, I'm going to say Finn, you son of a bitch. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our video. We hope you enjoyed this week's Shark Attack week, and we will catch you all next week, I guess, for another exciting week. What have we got coming up next week?
Thrillers in Manila. Not quite Manila, but definitely thrillers.
Thrillers in Manila.
Yeah.
Nice.
Leave us a comment as well if you enjoy the show, or if there's anything you want us to review. We literally will watch anything.
Yeah. Within reason.
Within reason.
Yeah. Catch y'all later.